Welcome back, Beans Army, to another episode of the Less is More Sports Podcast, the college offseason podcast, where you could say we're less of the regular season, but more of the offseason. As most of the fans tuning in can see that I have finally honored me and Ryan's bet to where I have to have an Ohio State themed background. And of course, for Ohio State fans, what better picture to use than Jack Sawyer's fumble return touchdown against Texas last year in the college football playoff? So, again, long overdue, but congrats to Ryan and his Ohio State Buckeyes for beating my Texas Longhorns in the first game of the 2025 college football regular season. And I have a feeling that we are going to talk just a little bit about my Texas Longhorns today on today's topic, because if you remember last week, we talked about the coaches on the hot seat. Well, today, we are essentially going to talk about the quarterbacks on the hot seat. I'm going to be honest with you, Ryan. Preseason hype is such a wild thing. It's a great time, where we make these predictions of who's going to look really good, who's going to, maybe win the Heisman, or who could look really bad. And of course, the offseason is a great time to play around with these theories and, see how they come to fruition once the season starts. But once the season starts, reality actually starts to set in. And some players, they live up to that expectation, but other players do not. So, how we're going to lead this show is we're going to talk about the quarterbacks who have underperformed from preseason hype. And of course, what better way to start with the biggest elephant in the room? That is the biggest waste of $2 million dollars and already led to his head coach getting fired. Our favorite former five-star recruit, well, some people's favorite former five-star recruit, Nico Iamaleava. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on how Nico has performed to this point of the season?
Yeah, well, I just want to start off the first, like the guys that we have on here happen to be like what I wrote down was like the top three guys that had the most hype. So that, I mean, that's just crazy to start off. But starting off with Nico, I mean, it's been an absolute train wreck there. We definitely know who won the trade
For
of,
sure.
of the UCLA Tennessee. Joey Aguilar won that trade, but yeah, it's just been terrible. He's got terrible players around him. He hasn't played well. UCLA is just got beat by New Mexico. I don't know if that was the most recent game, but they got destroyed by New Mexico, which was crazy. And yeah, it's a train wreck there, and this was a bad decision for him, not gonna lie. So yeah, Nico, it's just call it quits. It's done. I mean, it looks terrible, and he has to go to Ohio State later this season. And remember the last time he went to Ohio State, it wasn't didn't go well. Didn't go well.
No,
So
it did not. And it was also
we're
led
gonna
to
pay him
Ohio
well.
State. And it also led to Ohio State eventually going on this run to claim their ninth college football national championship.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, history is on the side. But also, it's fair to point out that given, I don't want to say too much, but given what we might be talking about later on this show, it might be fair to say that it might not be Nico's fault at all. But
Yeah,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
yeah.
But of course, we're officially going to get into the list of our top three quarterbacks, like Ryan said, with the most hype leading into the season that have not performed. And of course, I'm going to take the first one because we all know who I'm going to say right now. Um, yeah, so I'll lead with this one. There was so much hype around the next line of Manning lineage taking over as the full-time starter. Naively or not, I am still a believer that Arch is a good quarterback and will turn it around. But for the time being, I have to address the elephant in the room. I am convinced that something is wrong with Arch Manning. I don't know if it's an injury that Texas is covering up or if it's a classic case of the yips, but he does not look right out there. If you go back to last season and just watch him throw, take performance and numbers out of it. Just watch him throw. He does not look like the same player. His throwing motion does not look the same, and it almost looks like he's become this uncomfortable sidearm thrower. We've all seen the videos on social media of him grimacing in pain when he throws. To play devil's advocate, that could be his own disappointment in the throw because we've all been there. Like we all go to shoot a basketball, we know the shot's off, and we're like, ugh. or we go to like throw a baseball or a football or whatever, and we just know the ball doesn't feel right coming out of our hands, so we kind of grimace like that. But honestly, I don't know. Is it an injury? Is he crumbling to the pressure? Because we all know he has the world at his throat right now. But hopefully, for his sake and for Texas's sake, he can figure it out. And that's pretty much what I have to say about Arch Manning.
Yeah. Obviously it's so much hype going in, and he has a chance to go at it again today against Sam Houston. 0-3 Sam Houston. Um, but yeah, it's about that throwing motion that I saw, and it's just a bunch of sidearm throws that he had against Ohio State and the games past Ohio State. Just nobody throws and then not screams, but like has so much pain that they have to make a face for it. Like that's got to be it's something with him, or he actually has an injury that they want to address. We got to figure out because I will say it's still early in the season. He could have a huge turnaround, but I don't know. I don't think it's going in the right place, but we have to figure something out, whether that's an injury or whether he just needs to improve.
And running, and that's why like I'm starting to feel more like this is like a specific thing with maybe an injury or the yips or whatever, because running the ball he looks fine.
Yeah,
Like, I
completely
mean,
fine.
he's out there, he's running elusive, he's running with power, and he looks like the Arch Manning we knew he could look like running the ball. But throwing is where he just does not look the same at all.
Yeah,
And it again, it's we don't know what's going on with him, but hopefully for his sake and for Texas's sake, because Texas has a very good team,
yeah,
and it starts with him. He need if for him them to reach the potential of this preseason hype of how good this Texas team could be, he needs to perform. But not to spend too much time on Arch Manning because we could really talk all day about Arch Manning, but we got to get to our second guy. And I'll be honest, Ryan, you might have cooked with this one. And we're going to talk about Cade Klubnik of the Clemson Tigers. So I'm going to let you take this one first.
Yeah, preseason I said that they weren't an elite team, and I said starting with him, I just wasn't impressed with him, especially in big games, and he's nothing but proved me right. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate it. But yeah, it hasn't been a good start of the season. Obviously, they just week one they lost to LSU at home, and then they lost to Georgia Tech this past week, and so no, it hasn't been good for Clemson all at all. And Dabo's presser was pretty funny, just because he was like, "Do y'all not like winning? Oh, then I'll go." But yeah, it's been terrible for K. Klubnik. It was about his throwing ability that I didn't love in big games, and we all know he's like explosive. But like he can run the ball and he's quick, but. It was about that throwing ability that I wasn't really set on. Sometimes it may be running for his life. I feel like I saw that sometimes in the LSU game, but I'll give it to LSU. They got a really good defense. So, but yeah, I'm cooking with this one so far. So, and us saying he's on the hot seat. I don't believe he wouldn't get like benched. We're just saying like they're in kind of panic mode. Like Kate Klubnik's in panic mode, and so is Clemson so far in the season since they're winless, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Well,
sure.
they've won one game.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
They
uh,
beat Troy, but they fell down
oh,
16
I
to
forgot
0
about
to
Troy.
Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but like they're in panic mode because I mean they're 1-2 and they just lost to Georgia Tech and now they play Syracuse I think today. So Kay Klubnik has not played well at all start of the season, and I knew that Clemson had that elite defense, and so their offense is just not doing their job right now.
And
So
I
yeah,
mean, that's kind of like it often does with quarterbacks. That's created this domino effect because, with that offense underperforming, yes, they do have a really good defense, but when they're on the field all the time and when they're like backed up against their own territory, I mean, there's only so much they can do. So, I mean, his performance is really setting back Clemson in the ways that you expect a quarterback domino effect to happen. But, the biggest takeaway from this with how Clemson has started the season, they underachieved through the DJ Uyunglele years. Is it fair to now ask, is Dabo Sweeney actually on the hot seat?
yeah, I know, and I've been thinking about it. And it's like I know he won in like 2017, 2018, like won it all, but like. how long can you really hold on to that if you're not having success right now? It's like it's kind of like saying like the year obviously 2025. You know, in 2009 I won the national championship. So like, do you not like winning or not? Like I know you've been winning the ACC for like 8 years, nine. I don't know what the number is in a row, but like, but or like seven out of I don't know if he said like 7 out of 10 times, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just these past couple years I haven't been impressed with Clemson and I haven't been high on them, even though they always get the preseason hype with having like Cade Klubnik. I mean, they've had a good defense, but yeah, I mean, if he keeps it up and depending on how the season goes, he could end up being on the hot seat and just like maybe they want maybe a restart, but we all know like we all know where Clemson would be without Dabo if he didn't like start winning there, if that makes sense.
Right. And I'll be honest, if the ACC was like the SEC, like he probably wouldn't be on the hot seat because, like you said, if he's winning like 7 out of 10,
Oh yeah.
conference championships, but the ACC is not known for being a football powerhouse right now.
I know.
And and yeah, I mean, it's just it goes to show that when the times that he has looked really good, and I mean, really since my entire time of being a college football fan, I mean, Clemson they've always kind of been like this in a way, and it's weird to say because they've always it's like for years they've always come in with like this preseason hype, and then they always underachieve. I mean, that was and that kind of we saw that narrative shift. When Brent Venables was their defensive coordinator, and then they had guys like Deshaun Watson, then they moved on to guys like Trevor Lawrence. And so when you have like this elite defensive coordinator with this elite defense, and then you have this, ultra talented quarterback, I mean, it's hard, but at that point, it's like if you're not winning with that, I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And now it's like he's showing that he does need everything perfect to actually just, reach expectations, and that's not a good look. It really isn't. So, yeah, but yeah, I could talk about that all day. Of course, I think it's time to officially move on to the third guy on our list, which is DJ Lagway. So, Ryan, do you want to take this one first, or you want me to go?
I'll go ahead. Yeah, I was high on DJ Lag. I was very high on DJ Lagway. I wasn't super high on Florida, but I was high on his potential future as being a Florida Gator and how good he could be. But last Saturday did not, you know, made me think the other way through what 5 interceptions, and he's still making those mistakes he did in his freshman year, with like throwing interceptions, throwing across the field, across the body, and so yeah, I those things just make me like think less of him because he hasn't. It's not like he makes a mistake and never makes it again. Like obviously by doing that, he's made the mistake multiple times. So yeah, I don't know. And now Florida's just a fire right now with their coach and then DJ Lagway catching heat just because how bad he played and he has 6 interceptions on the year and we're 3 games in, which isn't good. But yeah, he's definitely not played as well just because of the turnovers and just the bad play that he's had this year.
I'll be honest, when it comes to DJ Lagway, this is one of those takes for me that looked horrible at first, but now looks like I might have actually cooked. For
Yeah.
those who may not remember, I was not originally high on DJ Lagway. I questioned the competition that he played in Texas. I criticized his Elite 11 performance, and despite having all the raw talent in the world, I questioned how he would perform at the college level. And then his freshman year came and he showed flashes of greatness. But now being a full-time starter, Florida's 1-2, and you add a 5 interception game to LSU, being the low of the low. Now is it fair to ask the same question to DJ Lagway that we can ask to Arch Manning? Is the pressure of being a high-profile recruit and now being the full-time starter of an essential blue blood program too much for you to handle?
We'll let him answer that.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. And then the reality is to reach expectations, when you're given all the expectations in the world, you have to be able to handle the pressure. It sucks, but it's reality.
Yeah. And it's weird. Like I still like, I don't know, there's something about me that I still like his potential and what he could be, but it's off to a terrible start so far just this season. But yeah, I mean, and the thing is that against LSU, like you said in the TikTok, Florida's defense did their job. He did not, and the game would have been closer if he didn't turn the ball over so many times. So they could have potentially won the game if he didn't do that. So yeah, he kind of that was just a really, really bad game, and it makes us worry about him.
And of course, we can't say it enough. I mean, it makes Billy Napier worry a lot about his
Yeah,
position.
yeah, exactly. They're gonna one Florida fan I know once actually Lane Kiffin.
That's what I've been hearing, a popular rumor that Lane Kiffin is like the lead, rumor for taking over being the next Florida head coach.
Yeah, which I
And
mean,
I'll be
yeah,
honest, I have mixed emotions about Lane Kiffin as a head coach. I think, offensively, he's a phenomenal play caller.
yeah,
Teams that he coaches, usually have a good offense, but the question always comes around the defense. Like, can they
Mhm.
ever have a good enough defense to complement their offense? We see it at Ole Miss. Ole Miss usually has good offenses every year, but defensively, they're kind of under par.
they are.
And but we'll see. We could be negative all day long, but we do like to shed light on the positive aspects.
I'm more of a positive guy than I am
I
negative.
like to be a positive guy. I mean, some might disagree with that statement, but I'd like to be a positive guy. For all the quarterbacks that, haven't lived up to expectations, there are the quarterbacks that have exceeded those expectations. And I'm going to kick us off with our first quarterback that has exceeded expectations, and Florida State quarterback Thomas Castellanos. Because sometimes you just have to admit when you're wrong. When Florida State was coming off that disastrous 2-10 season, and Thomas Castellanos transfers in from Boston College after not exactly setting the world on fire, he comes in and calls out Alabama, predicts an upset, and don't you all lie to me, because we all thought he was crazy.
Yeah, we did.
But like my number one rule of trash talk, if you talk the talk, you have to walk the walk. And to his credit, he has. He helped Florida State lead that upset win over Alabama. He led the charge in them scoring 77 points in their next win. And now Florida State looks as good as they did when they got left out of the college football playoff a couple years ago. However, now it's 12 teams. With Clemson struggling, the ACC teams, not setting the world on fire, they look like they could comfortably walk to the college football playoff this year.
Mhm.
So all credit to Thomas Castellanos for shutting all of us up.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at their schedule because I was thinking right now it looks like you know, two-team race between Florida State and Miami, and they actually match up here in a couple of weeks on October 4th, which would be a great game to watch at Florida State, and then that crowd would be rocking. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Castellanos, is it Castellanos or Castellanos? It's Nick Castellanos, but I've been hearing Castellanos for this one.
I've been hearing both. I mean,
Okay.
I've heard more Castellanos than I have Castellanos personally.
I know it feels
But
weird.
hey, but Thomas, if you want to hop on the podcast and tell us how your name is pronounced, please do that.
That would be great actually. I mean, that would help us out. But no, he's definitely backed up his talk against Bama. Everyone thought he was crazy. Bama players were like, "Oh, what was that one? What was that one quote that they said we're gonna address something?" The Bama defensive lineman or defensive player was like he was trying to go back at Thomas what he said, but no, he literally backed it up. Florida State looks good right now, and they absolutely destroyed Bama, made Bama have questions, made Kalen DeBoer catch more heat. Thomas looks very good. I know he got benched last year at Boston College under Bill O'Brien, but but yeah, he looks very good right now, and he makes that Florida State offense more explosive with his running ability, and he can throw that ball. So yeah,
He can
Florida
throw
State.
that ball, can he?
Yep.
Throw them ball over them mountains, to quote Uncle Rico.
But no, he makes Florida State a real contender this year, and we will see in a couple weeks how they do against Miami. I'm excited about that one.
And speaking of Miami, Carson Beck, our next quarterback that has exceeded expectations. I want to personally, from the bottom of my heart, apologize for
Lego.
hopping on one of my previews saying that you were trash and that you are a freaky ass dude. Because at the end of the day, those are all allegations that is not proven. And I said that. I did say they were allegedly a freaky ass dude. Not that you were a freaky ass dude, but nonetheless, I still said it and I still called you trash. That I did do. And now you have come to Miami and you've looked like the Carson Beck that was the Carson Beck Georgia fans thought you were. And honestly, as good as Carson Beck has played, I think it's worth noting because I was scrolling around the TikTok feed and I hopped on a couple reels of a couple other college football influencers. And there was one in particular that had a theory that I was very interested in. One of them said, and I can't remember the guy's name, and I apologize. So if you hear this and this was your take, please comment in the comment section your handle so people can go and look at the video. Because I am not taking your stance, but I just thought your stance was interesting. He made the claim that Kirby Smart does not have a good system in place for developing quarterbacks. And honestly, I don't think that's wrong. Justin Fields had to transfer.
Yeah.
Jake Fromm never really, after impressing his freshman year, never really took that next step. And Stetson Bennett, let's be honest, was a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. He was more of a, that gritty quarterback that could grind out plays and, just help that loaded defense behind him. And now, of course, Carson Beck had to transfer, and now he's getting to let it rip, looking like the quarterback that's as talented as most thought he was. And it goes to show that Kirby Smart, while being good at developing defensive players, I mean, just look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They pretty much draft. Georgia's basically been their unofficial farm team for the last couple years. But quarterback, it's fair to question Georgia's system in developing them. And how much pressure do we put on, how much heat do we put on Kirby Smart on that? How much heat do we put on Mike Bobo on that? That's all for the fan to decide. But yeah, something as far as quarterback development, Georgia's clearly not it. And now it makes me wonder because they do have a very talented quarterback commit coming in next year and Jared Curtis.
Mhm.
What are we going to get out of him? Because Jared Curtis is a very good player.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of a young Matthew Stafford. And ironically enough, Matthew Stafford went to Georgia. But
Yeah.
with this intact, this could be an opportunity for either Jared Curtis to prove that narrative wrong or for him just to be another quarterback on that list.
Well, and they also got Ryan Montgomery, I think, too, who came in this year. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So they got, I mean, two good quarterbacks that could be very good for the future. I know Jared's like one of the highest recruits. No, Carson Beck looks really good, and I was excited about talk. I was excited to talk about this just because what Les said on the old TikToks, um, but we know now that Georgia didn't have any receivers. They couldn't catch the ball. I mean,
No.
it was a problem last year. They had so many drop passes that made Carson Beck look even worse than he was, which I don't even think he was that great. But yeah, but I actually do agree with that statement about the Kirby Smart quarterback because I mean there hasn't really been one that got developed and turned into a really really good quarterback for the NFL, going based off of what we remember in the quarterbacks there. But no, Carson Beck has a great O line in front of him. Miami has a great O line. They got really good receivers. Malachi Tony's doing well,
CJ
and
Daniels, you can't leave him
yeah,
out.
yeah, no, they're cooking, and so I know JoJo Trader's coming back this week is what I read. I don't know how really well he's done, but I just know he's best friends with Jeremiah Smith. That's what I know. But he has a great O line, great. he great good receiving core, and obviously they got a great defense headlined by Ruben Bain, who feasted against Notre Dame. So yeah, Miami looks really good. They look like a contender as much as I don't like to say it. And Carson Beck ha has never looked, never looked better in his college career. So he's looking good, and he's proven that he does have friends, like the Cavendish said. He doesn't.
Well, with his performances, it's going to be easy to make friends. We'll at least say that. He will not, he will no longer be the Bo Callahan of the college football world.
Yeah, exactly. And they also got a good running back in Mark Fletcher, who I like. So yeah.
Fletcher, I don't know, like unrealistically or not, it feels like Mark Fletcher has been there for for like 10 years.
Um, I know he was committed to Ohio State and decommitted and went to Miami, but that happens like at least once a year where Ohio State guy will go to Miami for some reason. Luckily, it wasn't Jeremiah Smith that one year, but I think this is his third year.
Yeah, I mean,
Jordan Lyles' second year, I'm pretty sure. They're back up.
I just feel like, and maybe it's because I feel like Miami's had a running back just named Fletcher, and that's maybe what it is.
Maybe. I don't know, but I know.
Because I'm pretty sure they had a guy named Cam Fletcher too, and that might be what I'm thinking.
Isn't there a basketball player named Cameron Fletcher? The,
Maybe.
there was. Uh, I don't know. We'll keep going then.
We'll keep going and going on to the third and final quarterback that has exceeded expectations. And we have to go to first year starting quarterback with Oregon, Dante Moore. Ryan, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, sure. So we know Dante Moore, went to Oregon last year, sat behind Dylan Gabriel, and now is the starter there. But his UCLA days were not good. I mean, 1,610 yards, 11 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. It wasn't great, and he also didn't have the team to back him up behind it. So he used that his second year to go sit behind Dylan Gabriel and sit on a very good Oregon team to his advantage, and now he looks really good so far. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's electric as a quarterback on the offense, and he makes that Oregon offense look really good and really hard to stop, especially from more to more.
More to more. I like it.
Um, so yeah, Dante Moore,
More is more,
more is yeah, less is less.
apparently.
Um, but Dante looks very good, and they haven't really played nobody yet. I mean, Oklahoma State just lost to Tulsa. That does not count as a
Yeah.
someone. So we will see next week when they play at Penn State. That'll be our rocking environment. I'm very excited to watch that. But also at the same time, they also have Georgia Bama planned. So we gotta do that YouTube TV split screen.
Yeah, we got to do a split screen on that one.
So yeah, we'll see really what they're made of next week at Penn State during the whiteout. But no, so far he looks really good and he's letting the ball fly.
You know, he's really showing why he was the number four ranked player in his class and the number three quarterback. And after, like Ryan said, he had that wishy-washy season his freshman year at UCLA.
Yeah.
It really goes to show, like the Baker Mayfields of the world, or the Sam Darnolds, or hey, because I'm a Colts fan, Indiana Jones himself, you're not bad. You're just in a bad spot. And Oregon, unlike Georgia, has run a great program for seemingly developing these quarterbacks. Dan Lanning, of course, being one of the best coaches in the game, they've had success with these quarterbacks over the years, whether it be Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel, and now it appears Dante Moore. So Oregon could be, from a quarterback standpoint, the polar opposite of what Georgia is. But they can actually play defense too,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
like Georgia. Maybe not to Georgia's level, but
they'll probably still lose to Ohio State, but maybe
well, they
that'll
beat you all in the regular season, but of course, you can come
be
back with y'all beat them when it counted. I know.
Yep. But no, don't bye week suck.
Well, I wouldn't know because I'm not on one.
I would know because I am on one.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know. Clearly, hence why your name is bye week with a frowny face.
But I do have Louisville playing against Eddie George today in
A
Bowling Green.
George.
Eddie George.
Oh, against Eddie George. Thought you
Yeah.
said A George for a second.
No,
Some
I
guy named George.
think I'm messed up talking, but yeah, Eddie George today in Bowling Green at noon.
Y'all should blow him out.
We should, you know, but it's nice to see Eddie George, you know.
Former Ohio State legend,
Yep.
former Tennessee
Big,
Titan legend.
yep. Big rivals with Ray Lewis.
Hmm.
Yep. But and also just quick second, you talk about how Joey Aguilar has done.
Hmm.
Um, he's starting off with me. He's looked really good. He makes Tennessee look really good. He definitely won that trade. He's done better than I thought he would, and he's a gamer. So he played well against Georgia, even though they lost. And I'm not putting blame on the kicker, poor kickers. But Joey Aguilar's exceeded expectations and could make Miami a tough out for anyone this year.
You mean Tennessee?
Yeah, what did I say? Miami?
Yeah, you said Miami.
I don't know why. Yeah, I meant Tennessee. I'm sorry.
You had such a great take going and then you just ruined it all.
No, yeah, I
Words
sh
matter, sir.
they do, they do.
No, I mean, as much as we talk about in the professional world, like who wins certain trades and stuff, now in the college football world, in the college basketball world, with stuff like the transfer portal and NIL, now we can officially start talking about these types of trades. Because essentially that's what it was. Nico
Yeah,
goes to UCLA, causing who was already at UCLA, Joey Aguilar, to go to Tennessee. And like I said when it happened, he had the chance to do the funniest thing ever, and he did. And now, like this is looking like one of the more one-sided trades in the early trade season of college football history. So, no, all credit to Joey Aguilar. They're looking like the Tennessee offense that they had when Hendon Hooker was the quarterback. And of course, now they have, and of course, what goes under the radar is that they actually have a very underrated defense. I know that didn't really look the part against Georgia, but no, I mean, Tennessee is going to be a tough out for everybody. And, they very easily could have beaten Georgia. But of course, they didn't. But either way, they're looking really good. Tennessee's back to looking like a very fun team to watch.
yeah.
I can just hope that my Texas Longhorns get to that point.
Maybe they won't, maybe they will, you know. But do you want to pick some games real quick?
Just let me, yeah, tell me what games you want to talk about real quick. Actually, before you do that, as always, like and subscribe to Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channel to get the latest updates we have on new content coming out. Be sure to follow the social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Threads. That's at Less is More Sports. Be sure to follow the side quest on TikTok. That's at BeansDad018. So yeah, give me some games and I'll tell you who I think.
Utah, Texas Tech real quick. Big noon kickoff.
I'm going to go with Texas Tech. I really think that their quarterback for Texas Tech is absolutely humming, and of course, after having the great offseason that they had, where they spent the bag, I think Texas Tech is really in a good place right now. So I'm going to go with the Red Raiders.
I like picking against you, so I'm gonna go Utah.
Fair
Thank you.
enough.
Then we'll go the Jackson Arnold return, Auburn at Oklahoma.
I think Oklahoma. I hate to say it, but Oklahoma looks really good. Mateer is looking good. Of course, we know a Brent Variables led team is going to be able to defend the ball. So I'm going to go with the Sooners on this one. Still
I'm
horns up though.
I'm gonna go with them too. But Jackson Arnold is getting a lot of hype because he is playing well. But I think Oklahoma wins, and John Mateer is getting all the hype. The Bussin' in the Boys Bowl. We got Michigan at Nebraska.
I think Michigan takes this one. Bryce Underwood, I think last week really turned the corner of him reaching his potential as a quarterback. Actually, I'm gonna slow down on that. Um, I think after last week, after having a tune-up game to get him to where he can feel comfortable at the college level, I think that's gonna put them ahead of Nebraska. Nebraska still hasn't shown me a lot of anything yet. I still personally think they need to let Dylan Raiola let it rip just a little bit more, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Michigan on this game.
I am unfortunately gonna go with them, but it's just about Nebraska. I think this is like they have to win this game just because I saw something. I think it was like 0 and like 25 or 28 in their last like ranked opponents.
Hmm.
Like embarrassing. They haven't won a ranked game in like since 2016 or something like that.
Hmm.
So they have to win this game, and I don't think they will. Florida at Miami. Is this worth picking?
I mean, it's worth picking. I'm going to go with Miami. I think they're humming right now, but I do think that Florida needs this game more than Miami does, so I think it will be a close game for a while, and it's going to be interesting to see how DJ Lagway responds to a horrible week last week.
Yeah, this starts their terrible stretch of hard opponents. Well, actually, last week started their
Yeah,
stretch.
last week kind of started it.
Yeah. And then shout out Matt, Illinois at Indiana, which I know a lot of people that are going to the game.
I'm going to go with Illinois. They look really good right now. That's all I have to
I'll
say.
I'll take, just because of my family and they would be mad. I'll take the Hoosiers at home, and that crowd will be rocking. But Illinois does look really good. I don't know if there's any more. Um, Sorry, Michigan State fans, you got to wait till 11 p.m. to watch your game. That's unfortunate.
No, they playing out on the West Coast.
Yeah, 11 p.m. at USC.
You know, USC is looking pretty good.
They
They got
are.
a
The offense is looking crazy right now with Jaden Mayav and their two
mm,
receivers.
there's never
Jacoby.
been a question about that USC offense. It's always been about the
I
defense, but
know. And preseason, I said that they're going to start locking in on defense. So
well,
once they
I've
get
been
into Big
saying it
Ten
for
play,
years, but they just need to do it.
I know, which my prediction was they will, but um, we're going to see when they head into conference play if they really do lock in on defense.
So this is their first, I guess, test to see if they're really locked in on defense. So, but I'm going to go with USC on this game. I don't, Michigan State still has a
I'm going to go
lot of
Creighton.
work to go.
Yeah. And I wonder if Aiden Chiles still has a turnover problem. But you didn't want to get into anything specific, right?
No,
Okay. Yeah, so I mean we got a pretty good slate, but next week's slate is even better. And yeah, I'm not gonna wish my week away, but we have a bye week, so I can wish
you're
my week.
young enough you can still do that. I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. Um